Alright, so this is going to be sort of an explanation of how to raid in the high tier, since that's pretty difficult to do, or at least most people don't know how to do it since they only raided when they started the game as a very small nation. So first thing we're going to pay attention to is resources. It's only 5 seconds into the video and I'm already back from the future to explain where I've gone wrong. So you'll see in this video that I have a ton of resources. Turns out, you really don't need that many. Raiding is a lot cheaper than you'd expect, and it's better to have less loot on you, obviously. So, visit our Discord and take a look at whatever our war chest requirements are at the time. These are the estimates I'm going to give in the video because they're what we're currently using. They seem low because they are low. You don't need that much for missiles, or ships for that matter. And whatever resource you're producing, in my case aluminum, then deposit that, because you're going to make 1,500 to 2,000 a day anyway. So yeah, this is just free money. You deposit it into the alliance, like so, when it loads. $15,000. Oh, here we go. And on the revenue page, you can see I'm just going to make that back in like a week. And whatever excess I have, then I'll just keep depositing into the bank. And then I have a huge amount of aluminum in my deposits, which I can then sell on the market via the alliance or by myself when I have beige time. And it's quite common for you to get tons and tons of beige time while you're raiding, because your opponents will want to minimize the infrastructure damage they will take and reduce the extra expenses they pay for being a war. Yeah, they'll win tons of these wars. In some cases they'll try to expire them, in which case just, I don't know, keep missiling them and ask the alliance for support and we'll give you some advice. There's lots of alliances which will just beige you, so often it's as simple as finding better targets. Anyway, let's actually review your build and then I'll talk about raiding as well. So we're running an interesting build at the moment, which is a 5051. We're not doing tanks because, one, they're super expensive, and two, they're very easy to destroy. Barracks allow you to beat people that don't have ground and beat smaller nations with very small militaries. The dry docks are just that way you can buy ships if you need them to defeat opponents that don't have any ships, or only have some ships. The hangars are more for alliance warfare stuff. We won't use them very often. Do not buy planes unless you have a specific reason to buy them. The banks are just to keep you in positive cash. The police station is a necessity in every build, just because it's really overpowered. Bauxite and aluminum. So this will depend on your continent, but basically we're just trying to manufacture one resource as much as we can. It doesn't matter what your disease or crime is, or your disease as a crime does matter, but it doesn't matter what your disease is because you're not producing tons of cash, and disease only really lowers your cash revenue. The nuclear power plant is necessary to keep the rest of this running. Only the bauxite mines will work without nuclear power, so you have to have uranium, and if one of these goes down, then you're going to have to rebuild that city back to 1400 infrastructure and replace it. Yep, I will walk you through how to get this build. So you come into our server, you hit the standard build, it will then print one out in this channel. Awesome. You click grant, and then you ping the bankers to basically send the funds, and they'll click confirm, and then that will automatically send the resources to your nation. If you're under blockade and you can't switch builds very easily, we can send you credits which you can then redeem. So I'll walk you through that. If you go to this page, then you can edit the nation ID, and then you can send them resources. 4 credits is usually enough to give them enough cash to change their builds. For example, all of this just requires cash. None of it really requires resources, at least from memory. So yeah, it's very easy to switch your build, and then you can fight back. We also have these super hybrid builds, which are called infinite nuke builds, which will produce every single manufactured resource you need to be able to create nukes and missiles, which will also allow you to get out of some pretty sticky situations. So yeah, that's builds and war chest. For wars, I have no wars at the moment, which is awesome. I also have the pirate economy project, which gives me an extra offensive war slot. Ideally, you want this, and you also want the advanced pirate economy, although that will take much longer yet. And for high tier raiders, it isn't quite as important as it is for smaller nations. Anyway, let's address targets. So when you're selecting targets, you can use Locutus or you can use Auto Like Us. I'm going to show Locutus first because it's easier, and for a lot of you, if you're just looking for inactives to raid, it's the better option. So here we go. This nation has 590 million in potential loot. That means that Locutus here has seen that the last time this nation was looted, they were looted for roughly this much, or this is how much resources they have on their nation, either from public trading activity or they've been sent this amount by their alliance recently. So I think I know this person, so I'm probably not going to attack them immediately, but I will attack this person. Oh, and then we're going for raid wars. Never do attrition, never do ordinary. Always do raid wars. What else is worth mentioning here? How many should I do? Well, actually, I'll show you Auto Like Us just so we can compare the two, because some of these are really profitable, some of them are not. Auto Like Us is a different bot, and you can do /raids. And then it will ask you a series of questions. So here's the configuration. You want as web page. Which nations do you want to include? All nations. How many defensive wards should they have? 2 or less. This is so that way you don't have nations that are completely slotted or people that have been completely overlooked. How inactive should they be? I don't care. Do you want to include beige nations? No, because I can't target them immediately. Should there be a minimum previous beige loot? Some people go with 5 million. I will probably do the same, but you could do no minimum. And do you want to improve performance by filtering out bad targets? Omit nations with negative income, nations that have a stronger ground force than you, and nations that were previously beiged for $0. I'm going to go with no, but you can in your cases. Just because when you're raiding in the high tier, it kind of doesn't matter how much ground they have. That is a bit dubious. Okay. It might be better to pick embeds if you're a bit worried about that. Anyway. Dryad here, monetary net income, and a bunch of other data. Does it say anything about potential loot? Here it is, beige loot. So Dune here of Erico, he has the most. So I could launch tons of wars on some of these people, or if I went for days inactive. This person has 12 mil in beige loot, 48 mil, 38 mil. So I'm going to hit this person, and then I'm also going to hit this person. 48, 38. Oh, this is 25, 50 million. But he's only 3 days inactive, and he's Govern Rose, so I'm probably not going to hit him. Both of these are really good options, though. And he's in the Immortals, and this person's in Glasgow. Awesome. What are their units? See, so I'm scouting out what type of attacks I can run on them. So this person I'm going to spam navals at. This person I'll probably have to do some sort of combination of missiles and nukes. Let's see if he has Iron Dome or VDS. He has both. So we'll take a combination of missiles and nukes. And this person I can run ground on. Ground or ships. Literally the fastest way to beige someone in the game is with 5 naval attacks and 3 ground attacks. So I can do that. What are my other options here? How inactive are some of these other people? Seems like the others are pretty active, so I'm going to go back to Locutus here. What about this person? They look 1 week inactive. I'm going to check that just to be certain. They are. Awesome. I'm going to go with that person, and then Polish Federation, and then I will need one more. The Great Moya Empire. Awesome, and then I'm going to declare war on all of these people. Oh, actually, before I do, I need to scout them out. Ground attacks. That's much more difficult. Maybe I leave him behind for a bit. Okay, I'm going to go with 4, just because I'm already going to have to use nukes and missiles on this person. Oh, actually, I will keep one of them. I will keep one of them, because... Which one did I drop? I'm trying to remember which. Polish Federation and Great Moya Empire. Polish Federation is the richer one. Okay. So what I'm going to do with... This is ground. That's also ground. This is ships. Okay. So I'm going to note down what my options are. Actually, I can put it in the dossier, because that's more interesting. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to put down this person. We'll do leader name. We're going to use ships. And then for this person, ground plus ships, and then for this person we're going to go with... They all have low. Oh, I messed one up, that's it. Yeah. Here, grounded ships, ships. Murphy. And for this person, I'm going to do missiles. Missiles plus nukes at the end. And then for Polish Federation, we will also do missiles and nukes. So in this part of the video, I did talk about raiding with nukes, but it turns out after the recent update, it's not worth doing. Missiles are way more cost effective, have basically the same odds of hitting, and beige your opponent in the same amount of time, which is 48 military action points. So just use missiles. Oh, and the way I'm avoiding the errors, because if you just go straight for pressing declare war, it'll give you this initial error sometimes, but if you refresh the page before actually doing the capture and declaring war, then you'll never get that error. It's because Alex is trying to avoid cheating and avoid bots, and so that's why every page has a capture, and it's why every reload has all these other scripts verifying stuff. Awesome. So now I go back to my plan. This person, I'm going to use ships. I will need to buy a ship for that. You only need to buy 1 ship, which is awesome. Submit 1 ship. It doesn't matter what you target. I'm just targeting infrastructure because it's faster. Like, I don't have to look at it, I don't have to change it at all. I can just click and move on. This person, I was doing a soldier rush, wasn't I? Oh no, I'm doing ships as well, because they have tanks. Okay. Do I have to update that? Yeah. I didn't realize they had tanks before. That's fine. And yeah, you can figure out how long it will take with ships by going 100 divided by the 14 resistance damage ships do times 4, because that's the number of... Actually, is that right? Yeah, it's 100 divided by 14 times 4. Yeah. That's how many military action points it takes. So it would take 28 turns. And because you start the war with 6 turns, it only takes 22 turns, which is like, I don't know, 22 hours or something. It does not take that long. I know it doesn't. It's 44 hours, that's it. Because every turn is 2 hours. This person... Did I miscalculate? Did I just skip ships? I was looking at it. Lootinger... Yeah, I can't use ground attacks because he has tanks. I'm gonna go with ships again. I'm a real pirate now. I'm only using ships. There's lots of alliances which don't include ships in the MMR. So yeah, pirates have been using these strats for a very, very long time. And then I already have tons of missiles saved up. So I can fire those when I have more military action points. But if you don't, then it's as simple as buying some before you use them. Only buy however many you need, because if you buy more, they will get spied away. The reason I have tons of them is because I stacked them way before doing this. But yeah, they basically can't do any real damage to me. I don't have any military, so there's nothing to destroy. They can beige me, but there's not much to loot. And for the cities, if they beige you a lot and make your income negative, actually I'll show that. Right now I'm producing tons, so I'm doing fine. And I'm making 2 mil in daily cash revenue, which is enough for missiles and nukes. If your cities get really low on infrastructure though, and you start going negative, then you can rebuy to 800 or 700 or something. And it costs virtually nothing. It's literally within the daily bonus you get for logging in, and it will basically rebuild all your cities. Even if you're starting from a lower point, let's say, infra cost calculator, 500, 700, and you probably have something like Civil Center for engineering, because I know we weren't pirates before this. So yeah, 300k per city, which is pretty much nothing. It's less than 10 mil for like 10 cities. And yeah, I should be looting a lot more of that just from this round. Keep in mind that not all of these raids will succeed. Maybe 2 of them will, and then that'll net me like 50 million or something, and I will get triple slotted by counters, and all of them will chip away maybe 5 or 10 mil of loot themselves, or cause 5 or 10 mil in damage. But most of these nations will have to beige me to avoid getting looted themselves, and then I can wait out the beige to, yeah, deposit my stuff. And yeah, keep in mind, when you attack people, you exit beige. Right, so I've given up my security, so you have to repair before you do that. I love how in the first video I make about high tier rating, I am an absolute loot pinata. Jesus. Ripper would be rolling in his grave, or in the graves of others.